Part 4. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Crispone. Chapter 31. Chapter 31 The Talking Fox. Time passes minute by minute. The few of them did nothing, just waiting around here, which looked a little strange to other people on the construction site. But under Shen Qinghe's instructions, no one came to disturb him. Waiting is a long process. The talisman on the ground has long been burned out, and even the green smoke has disappeared without a trace. Shen Qinghe was afraid of wronging Pei Anzu, so he asked someone to bring in a few chairs, a few bottles of pure water, and an oversized parasol, and tried his best to treat her as thoughtfully as possible. About half an hour later, several strange noises were heard nearby. Pei Anzu was the first to hear the noise and turned to follow the sound. But she saw a fox head emerging from the grass 10 meters away from her. It is very smart. It uses the grass to cover its body and keeps a distance from humans. It looks here and there carefully, its eyes alert, for fear of any traps. It can also be understood that humans have destroyed its home and cut off its opportunities, and it really has no good impressions of humans. More importantly, it has already retaliated against the human mastermind, and now someone suddenly summons it in a way that it cannot refuse. Can it not be cautious? The next second, the fox's eyes met Pei Anzu's, their eyes collided in the air, and the atmosphere was stagnant for a moment. "Here we come," Pei Anzu said. Shen Qinghe stood up excitedly and looked around. "Coming, where are you?" Pei Anzu pursed his lips in the direction of the fox, and then said, "There are too many people here, so it's not convenient to talk. I'll go and chat with it first, and you can follow later." After saying that, she raised her feet and walked towards the fox. When the fox saw Pei Anzu walking towards him, he became more and more wary and kept retreating, trying to distance himself from Pei Anzu. But who would have thought that Pei Anzu was extremely fast, almost in a weird way, and arrived in front of it in the blink of an eye, then grabbed the collar of the back of its neck and lifted it up. This is a red fox. Its fur is bright, soft, and shiny, and its eyes are clear and spiritual. It is completely different from those ignorant species that have not developed their intelligence. Hizzy, Red Fox struggled a few times. However, he discovered that this human woman had used some method to imprison her ability, completely strangling her destiny, without any room for resistance. Pei Anzu picked it up, looked at it over and over, and said in surprise, "Huh, it's actually a two-tailed one. According to your level of cultivation, it must have been at least 500 years, right? You still haven't found a chance to transform." Red Fox. It rolled its eyes, and those spiritual eyes seemed to be full of contempt, as if to say, "Little girl, if I can change my form, will you catch me?" Pei Anzu didn't mind the red fox's eyes. She looked behind her. Shen Qinghe and Mrs. Shen had already followed, so she hugged the fox and walked further. She didn't stop until she was out of sight of those at the construction site. After a while, the Shen family and his wife arrived. As soon as the red fox saw Shen Qinghe, he immediately became filled with hatred. He waved his claws at him and howled a few times, as if he wanted to swallow him. Shen Qinghe was startled. The scene of being chased by a fox in his nightmare suddenly appeared in front of his eyes. He took a few steps back nervously and asked, "Master Pei, how do I communicate with it?" Pei Anzu slapped the fox on the head and said, "With your cultivation, even though you haven't transformed yet, it shouldn't be difficult for you to speak people's words, right? You should be able to tell that I am a metaphysician, but I am not here to kill you, I am here to help you. To resolve the grudge with Mr. Shen. If you have any demands, you can tell Mr. Shen directly. Don't worry, with me here, you can't seek revenge from Mr. Shen now, but similarly, they can't hurt you." Red Fox indeed did not feel any ill will from Pei Anzu. Although it has 500 years of cultivation, Its experience is still shallow and it cannot see Pei Anzu's monstrous merits, but it can vaguely feel that there is an aura on her body that makes it very comfortable. Red Fox rolled his eyes and spoke to Shen Qinghe. Being trapped in an illusion and haunted by nightmares, doesn't it feel good? You deserve it. Who told you to destroy my cave and ruin my opportunities? If I hadn't wanted to become an immortal and didn't dare to do too much to you, I would have killed you long ago. After saying this, it bared its teeth at Shen Qinghe again. Despite Pei Anzu's reminder, Shen Qinghe and his wife were still startled by this eloquent fox. They couldn't help but sigh. Sure enough, the world is so big and full of surprises. A misunderstanding actually led them to see a fox with two tails, and it could actually speak human language. Pei Anzu saw this and stroked it again. Stop being scary. Mr. Shen broke ground in accordance with normal human procedures and did not know anything about you. If you want to retaliate, you should not be so heavy-handed. Do you think that since you didn't kill someone with your own hands, it doesn't count as committing murder? According to your approach, Mr. Shen's children will die soon. Although you are not the murderer, the incident happened because of you, and part of this debt will still be borne by you. It is more difficult for animals to become spirits than for humans. If you have the evil of karma, your thunder disaster will be more serious. You didn't kill Mr. Shen just because the cave was destroyed and the opportunity was ruined. Mr. Shen learned about your affairs and was willing to turn the conflict into friendship with you. Both of you are actually soft-hearted and have room for mercy. I can't bear to see Mr. Shen's family ruined, and I can't bear to see you ruined because of this, so I'm willing to be a middleman for you. So, both of you, show sincerity and have a good talk. Red Fox rolled his eyes again and sneered. It's just a cave. They don't know how hard it is to find opportunities. Don't you, a Suanman disciple, know that? 500 years ago, shortly after I was born, I was lucky enough to witness the senior black fox of my clan transforming into another form after a thunder tribulation here. Thanks to the grace of my predecessor, I was able to open my spiritual wisdom early and embark on the path of spiritual practice. I have been here for 500 years, and I felt that the opportunity to transform was here, but I didn't expect that he would dig it up for me. Can you not hate it if I let it go? He came to you just to break the curse. Okay, there are two ways, either kill me, or give me a chance, and I will take the initiative to withdraw the curse. After hearing this, Shen Qinghe immediately expressed his stance. I don't want to kill, so I asked Master Pei to resolve it. I don't know what Senior Fox, the opportunity you mentioned, what requirements do you have? Tisk Red Fox smiled, do you really want to give me a chance? Let me tell you, it's not that easy. Pei Anzu pressed Red Fox's head and said. Stop talking nonsense, tell me the conditions first. The Red Fox felt that his head was about to be bald, but under the eaves, he had to lower his head, so he had to speak honestly. First of all, I need aura, a lot of aura, to improve my cultivation and cope with transformation. Secondly, I need the lightning strike wood to understand the law of thunder tribulation and deepen my understanding of thunder tribulation. Finally, I need a place to practice. It should be big enough and quiet enough, so that at least I won't be too conspicuous when I go through the thunder tribulation. Can you do this? End of this chapter. The Real Daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 32. Chapter 32, Supporting the Immortals. Red Fox's request is actually not excessive. The forest area on the eastern outskirts of Yunchinj was originally such a feng shui treasure land full of spiritual energy. The lush vegetation here, with flowers, stones, reeds and leaves, forms a natural spiritual energy formation that is endless, and it is a good place for cultivation. 500 years ago, a black fox took form here, and the vegetation was affected by thunder and lightning. The law of thunder and lightning remained on it for practitioners to understand. Finally, if this place is not developed, it is indeed a pure place to escape calamity. but now, it's all gone. After hearing what Red Fox said, Shen Qinghe thought for a moment and discussed. I will arrange for people to search for the same Feng Shui treasure land all over the country. If I find it, I will buy it at a big price for Senior Fox to practice. How about it? Hearing this, Red Fox rolled his eyes again and sneered. Naive, do you think Feng Shui treasure land is so easy to find? I'm afraid that before you can find it, the thunder tribulation of my transformation will come. I have no spiritual energy and no understanding of the law. I am asked to go through the thunder tribulation with my bare hands. Do you want me to die? To take a step back, even if you find a treasure land, I'm afraid that place already has an owner. The creatures raised in the treasure land generally develop their spiritual wisdom relatively smoothly. A powerful dragon can't overpower a local snake. You want me to compete for territory with others? Shen Qinghe was scolded twice by the Red Fox. He had no choice but to look at Pei Anzu for help. Master Pei is very capable, and these two-tailed foxes are very good in her hands. There should be a solution, right? Mrs. Shen also spoke. Master Pei, please help us. No matter what, I know it's tacky to talk about money, but if this matter can be resolved smoothly, I will definitely reward you heavily. Pei Anzu didn't mean to take advantage of Jiao and want to raise the price, but she didn't interrupt after she asked Red Fox to communicate with Shen Qinghe. Now that people ask her questions, she naturally wants to help solve the problem. What's more, talking about money is not vulgar. Although Pei Anzu is not short of money for the time being, who would complain about having too much money? After all, she still has to fulfill the original owner's last wish, buy a house in a big city, and provide for the old Taoist priests in their old age. How can the money she has now be enough? So she smiled and said, actually, there is no other way. As soon as these words came out, the Shen family couple and the Red Fox looked at her in unison, with expectation in their eyes. She didn't show off and said directly, perhaps, Mr. Shen, would you like to try to support the family immortals? Providing support to the family immortals, Shen Qinghe was stunned. What does this mean? Pei Anzu explained. All things have animism, and there have been many folk stories about animals repaying kindness through the ages, which in turn gave rise to the folk worship of animals, the most important of which is to make offerings to family immortals. There are generally 5 families of family immortals, namely the fox immortal, yellow immortal, white immortal, willow immortal and gray immortal. They represent foxes, weasels, hedgehogs, snakes and mice respectively. The red fox in front of you has developed spiritual wisdom, has 2 tails, can speak human language, and has a high level of cultivation. Apart from not being transformed, it can already meet the requirements of a family immortal. If you choose to support the family immortal, I can make a contract for you both. After saying these words, before Shen Qinghe could express his position, Red Fox exploded first. Are you kidding? You want me to be their family fairy? They ruined my cave and opportunities, and I still have to protect his whole family. I won't do it. Shen Qinghe had also heard about supporting family immortals before. Providing support to a family fairy is equivalent to enshrining a protective deity at home. The presence of the family fairy can protect the family's success and safety. To be honest, he also felt that Master Pei was too whimsical. This Red Fox clearly wants to collect debts from him, so how could he be willing to become the Shen family fairy? Pei Anzu lowered her head and looked at the fox in her arms. Its fur was soft and soft. She couldn't help but stroke it twice more and spoke again. Why are you so anxious? I haven't finished speaking yet. Little fox, your biggest wish now is to transform. The biggest obstacle to transformation is the fear that you will not be able to survive the thunder tribulation. Then do you know what kind of person can best survive the thunder tribulation? Red Fox snorted coldly and said. You still need to ask. Everyone knows that those who cultivate the power of merit are the easiest to survive thunder disasters. It is said that God has the virtue of good life, and practitioners should do more good deeds and accumulate more merits. When passing through the thunder tribulation, the way of heaven and the thunder tribulation will also be mindful of the merits and virtues, and open up the net. On the contrary, if you do too many evil deeds, the thunder disaster will be more serious. Tiendeo will not allow evildoers to become immortals or gods and control too much power, because that will be a disaster for the people of the world. This made Pei Anzu think of his own thunder disaster. She is the reincarnation of a good person from the 10th life, and she is truly a body of merit. In addition, she punishes evil and promotes good, and follows cause and effect. Logically speaking, thunder calamity should not be difficult for her. But she ended up in another world because of that thunder disaster. What is the reason for this? Doubts flashed through her heart, and then she was deeply suppressed in her heart. I am afraid she needs to find a way back before she can figure this out for herself. What needs to be resolved now is the grudge between Red Fox and the Shen family. Pei Anzu said to Red Fox, "Since you know that merit is the most beneficial to surviving the thunderstorm, you should not refuse. Because Mr. Shen and Mrs. Shen have great merit. It is difficult to find a good person in 10 lifetimes, but good people in 2 or 3 lifetimes are common, such as the Shen family and his wife. When you become their family immortal, you don't just have to pay. They also have to support you." Pei Anzu added, "They can provide you with the power of merit and the power of faith. These two things are not as good as your own. Is the law of thunder useful? Support me with the power of merit." Red Fox was stunned. Merit is such a precious thing, how could they be willing? Shen Qinghe and Mrs. Shen looked at each other and expressed their opinions quickly. "We are willing. Although we are not cultivators, and we don't know what the power of merit refers to, doing good deeds and deeds is what my wife and I have been insisting on over the years. If doing this can make up for the loss I caused to Senior Fox, then we are willing." The Red Fox wanted to agree immediately, but he endured it and said, "You must think clearly. The power of merit waxes and wanes. If you give it to me, you will have less. If I need too much to transform, your merits may be exhausted by me, and you won't be able to have a good pregnancy in your next life." Hearing this, Shen Qinghe smiled. This life is not over yet, so why bother thinking about the next one? What's more, according to what Master Pei said, merit can be accumulated at most. My wife and I will just do more good people and good deeds for the rest of our lives. Red Fox saw that Shen Qinghe sincerely agreed with this plan to support the family immortals, and was not reluctant to give up his own merits. He thought about it, nodded and said, "If this is the case, then I am willing to become your family fairy." After the words fell, the Shen couple breathed a sigh of relief and showed a comfortable smile. "Now that the deal is settled, let's go back," Pei Anzu said. "I will help you both form a contract, but you need to prepare some things in advance." "Thank you, Master Pei." Shen Qinghe bowed and made a gesture of invitation. Pei Anzu hugged the fox and walked towards where the Shen family parked their car. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 33. Chapter 33 is called Red Flame. Getting in the car, Mrs. Shen remembered her fortune telling in the live broadcast room and asked, "Master Pei, when you said that what happened to my husband was both a risk and an opportunity, if it was handled properly, our family would be able to make further progress. Did you mean to support the family immortals?" Pei Anzu nodded and did not deny it. "Without Jiaxian, Shen Qinghe's family and career will be severely damaged. This is a risk. If you support the family immortals and turn risks into opportunities, the Shen family will reach a higher level. I'm really glad now that I clicked into Master Pei's live broadcast room." Mrs. Shen touched her chest and sighed. Hearing this, Pei Anzu explained with a smile. Everything has a cause and effect. The fact that you came in at that time and met me is also related to your family's good deeds all year round. Good things come to you, and your family is destined to survive this disaster. After hearing this, Red Fox was a little unconvinced and asked. They've been rewarded for their good deeds, but what about me? I have practiced cultivation for 500 years and have always followed the instructions of Senior Black Fox. I have been careful in my words and deeds. I have never committed any sin. Wasn't it because the cave was destroyed and the opportunity was cut off? Am I not worthy of good deeds? This is an outspoken fox. What he said made Pei Anzu laugh. She thought for a while and asked instead. Why are you obsessed with that patch of woods in the eastern suburbs? Apart from the spiritual energy there for practice and the laws of thunder and lightning for understanding, there is no guarantee that you will be able to successfully transform, right? Red Fox suddenly became furious and retorted. Who said that? I clearly feel that my chance to transform is right there. You are also a practitioner. You should understand that mysterious feeling. When you are approaching a breakthrough, you will receive a kind of guidance. You don't know the origin or reason, but you just know that the opportunity is coming. I understand. Pei Anzu nodded, and then asked, but how do you know whether the guidance you feel in the dark refers to the place in the eastern suburbs forest area, or to the people you met there? Where are the people? Red Fox? It looked at Pei Anzu with two eyes, seeming to be stunned by the question. Yes. Compared to surviving the tribulation alone in the woods of the eastern suburbs and transforming into another form, it is obvious that becoming the Shen family's family immortal will help it practice more. The power of the Shen family's merits can help it survive the thunder calamity more easily, which is much more reliable than its own understanding of the laws of thunder and lightning. So it seems that the opportunity it sensed to transform actually refers to Shen King he had met in the forest, rather than the forest? It seems, earned. Pei Anzu saw the two fox eyes rolling around, and then showed an expression of sudden realization, and knew that it had figured it out. So, she nodded slightly towards Red Fox, expressing her affirmation. Chi-Hu was originally a little reluctant to become the Shen family immortal, but now that he has figured it out, the estrangement in his heart suddenly disappeared. The Shen family are really good people. When it becomes the Shen family's fairy, we must take good care of the whole family. Pei Anzu looked at the satisfied two parties and smiled slightly, hiding his merit and fame. If the gap in Red Fox's heart cannot be eliminated, then the two parties will be forcibly bound together. There is no guarantee that no accident will happen in the future. So, she wanted to eliminate this possibility in advance. She is a young genius that everyone praises. Whenever she takes action, she must be thoughtful and leave no consequences. Return to the Shen family. Shen King he led Pei Anzu through the door more respectfully than before, and then asked. Master Pei, you said before that you need to prepare something to support the family immortals and conclude a contract. I wonder what I need to prepare. Pei Anzu put down the little fox in his hand, took out a piece of paper from his backpack, and handed it over. This is the blueprint of the Immortal Tower. You need to find someone to customize it. It is different to support a family fairy and to keep a pet as a follower. This has its own requirements. What's more, pets also have separate nests. How can the family fairy not have a place to live? The Jiaxian Tower is the residence of the Jiaxian. Simply put, Jiaxian Tower is a wooden temple model. It is about 3 feet wide and 2 feet high. The workmanship is almost the same as that of a real temple. It has a ridge, a corridor, etc., and there are several doors in the front. It is equivalent to a scaled-down version of the real temple. In the middle of the interior of the Jiaxian Tower, there is a statue or tablet of the Jiaxian. There are tributes in front and an incense burner in front. The overall look is similar to going to a temple to offer incense and worship. Shen King he took the drawing and saw that it was very detailed and every place was clearly marked. He couldn't help but ask. I didn't expect that Master Pei is not only a master of cultivation, but also an excellent painter. The paintings of this fairy tower are lifelike, and they are no worse than the temples built in reality. I didn't draw this. Pei Anzu would not take credit casually. The seniors in the family left notes. This drawing was passed down from seniors. Shuyun Temple is also a Taoist temple after all. The old Taoist priest sect has handed down many ancient books and clothing. The old Taoist priests didn't understand those books, so they never read them. On weekdays, they only carried some accessories to show their appearance when they went out. Since Pei Anzu came, he has looked through the Taoist temple and found a lot of good things. The drawings of this fairy building were found in Shuyungan. Hearing this, Shen Qinghe smiled and asked again. In addition to the Jiaxian Tower, do I also have to build a statue for this senior fox? Pei Anzu nodded and said. As for statues, jade carvings are the best, followed by gold carvings, and stone and wood carvings are also acceptable. It depends on your own wishes. In addition, the household immortals supported by some people are spirits and can live directly in the statue, but your household immortals are entities and need to be placed in a separate residence next to the household immortal tower. There are no special requirements for this residence. You can choose it according to your own ideas. I'll call someone to do it right away. Shen Qinghe agreed repeatedly. The statue must be made of jade, the best jade, and the residence must be the best. Our family has this condition. The Shen family is rich and naturally works efficiently. In just one afternoon, everything was ready. The Shen family even made a special room in the big villa where they lived, placed the Jiaxian pavilion in it, enshrined the red fox statue, and even placed the red fox's residence here. After everything was ready, Pei Anzu drew up a contract for both parties. When drafting the contract, Pei Anzu suddenly remembered something and turned to ask Red Fox. By the way, what's your name? I don't have a name. Red Fox spat out these words with a downcast face. It is a wild fox. It has never seen its parents since it was born, so naturally no one gave it a name. After opening his spiritual wisdom, he also adhered to the concept of resolutely not being involved in the world, hiding in the deep mountains and old forests to practice alone, without any contact with the outside world. Gradually, it feels that the name is not an important thing. After hearing this, Pei Anzu thought for a moment. Signing a contract requires a name. How about I give you a name? How about Xiaohong? Look at the color of your coat. Does this name suit you well? Red Fox, ugly JPG. Looking at the fox's mournful face, Pei Anzu burst out laughing. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. You belong to the Red Fox clan, and your fur is as red as fire. How about I call you Qi Yan? End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 34. Chapter 34. It's all here. Red Fox nodded with satisfaction. Just do it. After deciding on the names, Pei Anzu drew up a contract, wrote the names of Qi Yan and Shen Qinghe, and took 2 drops of blood from their fingertips. The blood soaked into the deed paper, a flash of light flashed, and the contract was established. The Shen family's matter has been completely settled. Shen Qinghe was grateful and offered to treat Pei Anzu to dinner and arrange a table at a high-end restaurant owned by the Shen family, but Pei Anzu refused. There's no need to eat. I have other important things to do, so I can't stay longer. Hearing this, Shen Qinghe didn't force it anymore. He just asked for her bank card account number before Pei Anzu left, and asked his assistant to transfer a sum of money to her, and explained. Master Pei helped my Shen family resolve the curse, get rid of the predicament, and prevent our Shen family from being destroyed. It even went further. It is a great kindness that cannot be repaid. It's a small thought, but it's not respectful, so please accept it, Master Pei. Mr. Shen, you're welcome. I'll take my leave first. After Pei Anzu finished speaking, he left the Shen family. Shen King he didn't ask her where she was going, but still sent a driver to take her there, and told the driver that whether she was going to the station, the airport, or somewhere else, she must provide good service. Pei Anzu did not reject Shen King he's kindness. Although she is barely rich now, she needs to spend money in the province and there is free transportation, so there is no need for her to be polite. Please send me to Shuixiao West Lane, Suanwu Street. Shuixioxi Lane, Suanwu Street, is Kui Yun's home. Kui Yun also lives in Yunchinj. Previously in Pingcheng, when he signed a contract with Pei Anzu, he had told him his home address. Pei Anzu thought that since she was already here, after settling the Shen family's affairs, it would be better to also settle the matters promised to Kui Yun. I promised before that I would change the feng shui of Kui Yun's house. Pei Anzu called Kui Yun in the car and informed him in advance that he would come, so as not to rush to the door and cause trouble to others. The driver concentrates on driving and does not look sideways. But the space in the car was so large, the sound of Pei Anzu's phone still fell into his ears. He thought of how respectful his employer was to Pei Anzu, and saw that Pei Anzu was so busy with his business. He felt a little moved in his heart, but finally couldn't hold it back and said, "Master Pei, I know you are an expert and do not take action easily, but I will ask you for a talisman, is that okay? Of course, I am not as rich as Mr. Shen, but Mr. Shen is generous and his salary is not low. I have also saved some. I wonder if 200,000 is enough." As a driver who has worked for the Shen family for many years, he actually knows a lot of information. For example, Shen King he asked his assistant to give Pei Anzu money, and he actually paid 10 million. This amount of money was nothing to the Shen family, but to him as a driver, it was a huge amount of money. He didn't know how much Pei Anzu sold a talisman. But he followed the whole process today and saw with his own eyes how this young Master Pei kept a talkative two-tailed fox in submission. A fox demon with 500 years of cultivation was unable to fight back in her hands. It shows that she is highly capable. After hearing what the driver said, Pei Anzu looked up at his face. He saw that he was honest and law-abiding, and asked, "What kind of talisman do you want? Is there any talisman that can protect your health?" the driver asked. "I look at your face and you are in good health, with no disease or pain. What do you want the health charm for?" Pei Anzu asked one more question. After hearing this, the driver sighed and said, "Actually, I am asking for it for my daughter. Some time ago, my daughter graduated from college and went on a graduation trip with her roommates. They went out for fun, but when she came back, she felt dizzy and vomited, and she became very thin. We took her to the hospital for examination. The doctor said she might be acclimatized and ate something unclean outside. She would be fine after a while. But it's been several months, and she hasn't gotten better. She obviously got an offer from a big company, but due to health reasons, she was unable to join the job, and she also lost this opportunity. Her mother died young, and I was just a daughter who had to work hard to raise her. I felt bad when she saw her sick, but I couldn't be with her all the time. I can only ask Master Pei for a health charm, hoping she will get better. My daughter is now physically unable to work, and the family's income depends solely on the driver. The Shen family is generous, and he has been Mr. Shen's confidant driver for more than 10 years. He cannot leave easily, so he cannot take good care of his daughter wholeheartedly." Pei Anzu was a little confused after hearing what the driver said. If it's just acclimatization, then a few days of rest should be enough. How could it be possible that it hasn't healed for several months and is still dizzy and vomiting? It's not a problem that cannot be diagnosed medically and needs to be solved by metaphysical means, right? Thinking of this, Pei Anzu said, "How about this, just leave me your contact information and I'll visit your house after I finish what I'm doing, okay?" The 5 Arts of Metaphysics and Fortune Telling by Mountain Doctors, I also know how to practice medicine. I'll go to your house first and check on your daughter. Maybe I can detect diseases that Western medicine can't detect. If it doesn't work, how about I draw a talisman on her?" When the driver heard this, he was happy at first, and then said, "But Master Pei, I can't afford so much money." The Shen family asked her to help. It was only 10 million yuan to start. As a driver, he didn't know if he could earn so much money in his lifetime. "Your love for your daughter can't be measured by money," Pei Anzu said with a smile. "Let's not talk about the price for now. Let me go and see the specific situation." The driver breathed a sigh of relief, immediately thanked Pei Anzu, and exchanged phone numbers with Pei Anzu. "What's your surname?" Pei Anzu asked while saving the number. "My surname is Li," the driver said. "My name is Li Qiaokan." Pei Anzu nodded, entered his name, and then added a bracket at the end. The note read, "The driver of the Shen family." She had a hunch that as her business expanded and developed, there would be more and more people in her address book in the future, so it was better to make a note. Li Qiaokan did not expect that the master of metaphysics who was treated as a guest by Mr. Shen would be such a good-tempered person, without any airs or arrogance, and he would be polite to people like him. Actually, what he didn't know was that Pei Anzu was the best at thinking about what to eat. If she is a good person who is honest and kind-hearted, she will naturally be kind, gentle and polite. If there is an unscrupulous person with a vicious heart and a vicious heart, she will naturally not be polite. Normally, she can tell a person's character at a glance. More than an hour later, Pei Anzu arrived at the entrance of Shuoxi Lane on Suanwu Street. She got out of the car, thanked the driver, and walked into the alley. Pei Anzu arrived at the Shen family in the morning, went to the eastern suburbs at noon, and made a contract with the Shen family's family immortals in the evening. By the time it was over, it was already very late. It's 7 o'clock in the evening now. Kui Yun had got off work early and was waiting for her arrival at home. End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 35. Chapter 35 looks a bit similar, revised. Shortly after Pei Anzu left the Shen family, Shen Qinghe received a call. The call was from his assistant. "Mr. Shen, there is a business reception at the Xianyu Palace at 8 o'clock tonight. It is hosted by the Feng family. Most people in Yunqing choose to attend because of the Feng family's reputation. I've asked you several times before, but you didn't give me a clear answer. You said I'd look at it then, but there's not much time before the reception starts. What do you mean?" After hearing this, Shen Qinghe suddenly remembered. Not long ago, his assistant did tell him about this. It is said that the second young master of the Feng family returned home after studying and was ready to take over the family business. This cocktail party was prepared by the Feng family to pave the way for the second young master to expand his contacts. The Feng family is truly a top-notch wealthy family, a prestigious family that has been standing for 200 years. Not only in Yunqing, but even in the whole country, he is a true business overlord, an uncrowned king, and his accumulation of assets is shocking. Therefore, whenever the Feng family holds a cocktail party, many business people will flock to it. Although the Shen family is not bad, the Shen family has only been around for 100 years. Although it is also called a wealthy family, in terms of foundation, it is a bit worse than the Feng family. The Feng family sent an invitation letter. Logically speaking, Shen Qinghe should have gone without hesitation, but at that time he was troubled by the fox fairy's curse and was plagued by nightmares. He was worried that he would hallucinate at the cocktail party, lose his temper in front of business celebrities, or let his competitors notice the clues, so he put the invitation aside and ignored it. Today, since the curse has been removed and the fox fairy has become a family fairy, it is natural to go to this cocktail party. "Have someone send you the dress," Shen Qinghe ordered. "I'll do it right away," the assistant promised. Given Shen Qinghe's status in Yunchinj, it's not necessary to arrive at the scene late. It doesn't matter if it's a little later. Therefore, there is still time for him and his wife to make some preparations. He is quite simple, mainly because Mrs. Shen has to change into a dress and do some styling. No matter how efficient the assistant is, this whole process took almost 2 hours. Shen Qinghe arrived at Xianyu Palace with his wife and entered the banquet hall on the red carpet. People were coming and going in the hall, dressed in fragrant clothes and drinking glasses. Almost all the well-known families in Yunchinj were here, and of course there were also many wealthy businessmen from other places. Mrs. Shen held Shen Qinghe's arm and accompanied him to greet people he knew. There were not many people who needed Shen Qinghe to take the initiative to greet them, and it was over after a while. At this time, a couple walked towards them. "Mr. Shen, long time no see." The speaker's surname is Pei, and he is Pei Jinchang, the head of the Pei family, one of the richest people in Yunchinj. Compared to the Shen family, the Pei family has been around for a shorter period of time. It has only been 50 or 60 years since its rise to the present, and it has not exceeded 3 generations so far. Although it is also called a wealthy new rich, compared with a century-old family, it can only be regarded as an upstart. However, Pei Jinchang has some tricks. He married the daughter of the Zhou family, one of the century-old famous families, and achieved strong alliances and resource reorganization, which has led to rapid development in recent years. Shen Qinghe and Pei Jinchang are not the same people. However, hypocrisy and compromise are common in the business world. Even if there are conflicts of interest and market snatching behind the scenes, as long as there is no deep hatred and complete rift, there is still harmony on the surface. So Shen Qinghe nodded at him and said, "Mr. Pei. Mr. Shen is here just in time. I just mentioned the cooperation in developing Qiun Mountain with Mr. Liu and the others. Mr. Shen, you are the leader of the Yunchinj real estate industry." Pei Jinchang took Shen Qinghe to discuss the project, leaving only Mrs. Shen and Mrs. Pei. In order to avoid the embarrassment, the two started chatting about women's clothes, bags, and jewelry, and launched a unique ladies' diplomacy. Mrs. Shen was chatting, and suddenly she felt that Mrs. Pei in front of her looked familiar. Her facial features are very similar to Master Pei, who came to Shen's house during the day to solve the Fox Fairy's curse, but their temperaments are completely different. Mrs. Pei's name is Zhou Yelan. She has exquisite makeup, a good figure, decent clothes, and elegant manners. Even though she is middle-aged, her face does not look like there are many traces of age. A pair of eyes seem to be filled with mist, like a dodder flower being coddled in a greenhouse. That's right. As the daughter of a wealthy family, she grew up under the favor of her father and brother. Later he met Pei Jinchang. In order to gain the support of the Zhou family, he naturally wanted to hold the little Princess Zhou Yelan in his hands. Because of this, even though Zhou Yelan has been married for decades, she still lives in the ivory tower carefully built by her father, brother, and husband every day, without any worries. This innocent and almost stupid temperament prevented Mrs. Shen from immediately associating her with Pei Anzu. If we say, Mrs. Pei is a dodder flower that is carefully cared for, then Pei Anzu, just like her name, is a tall and tough bamboo, indifferent and proud, who would rather break than bend, but also has a hidden edge. Such two people with completely different temperaments, if Mrs. Shen and Mrs. Pei hadn't chatted long enough and observed them carefully enough, we really wouldn't have noticed that they look somewhat similar. Master Pei's surname is also Pei. Does she have anything to do with the Pei family? No one knows Mrs. Shen's thoughts for the time being. At this time, Pei Anzu has successfully entered Kui Yun's home. Kui Yun's wife's name is Han Yaheng. She and Kui Yun work in the same company, but in different departments. She works in the technical department, responsible for system maintenance, server operation, etc. Coming from a science and engineering background, She usually focuses on logic when thinking about problems and is a rational person. She originally didn't believe much in metaphysics. Not long ago, Kui Yun came back from a business trip in Pingcheng and said that the live broadcast platform had signed a metaphysics anchor who would come to change the feng shui of the home. She just laughed it off and didn't take it seriously. Until later, Kui Yun took her to watch the second live broadcast of King Zhu Fairy Lord. She saw the scene where the other party was beating up a ghost online, and the door to a new world was immediately opened, and her outlook on life was violently impacted. Later, after searching all the information about King Zhu Immortal Lord on Weibo, she finally believed that he was a really capable boss. So, when Pei Anzu rang the doorbell, she couldn't wait to open the door. "Master Pei, please come in." Even though her husband had reminded her in advance that Master Pei was not too old, she was still shocked by his too young face. Pei Anzu felt the other party's enthusiasm and nodded. "Hello, Mrs. Kui, at the invitation of Mr. Kui, I am here to improve the feng shui of your home." "I heard Lao Kui mention this," Han Yehung said. "To be honest, I have been troubled by our family's inability to save money, and now there is a solution. When I reach middle age, I am old and young, and I am really anxious if I don't have any savings." "Leave it to me," Pei Anzu said with a smile. "Can you take me to your home to see it now? I need to see the overall layout of your home before I can start to change the feng shui." "No problem, please follow me," Han Yehung said and led Pei Anzu inside. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 36. Chapter 36 Lucky Feng Shui Bureau. Kui Yun's home is a typical one with 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. The decoration is not too simple and low-key, nor is it luxurious or exaggerated. It is just like how most working-class families across the country live conveniently. It is simple and warm. There are many items in the home but not clutter, and they are neat and orderly. The floor is clean, which shows that the owner cleans and tidies regularly. Pei Anzu walked around the house and looked at everything inside and out, including the bedroom, study, balcony, and bathroom. After reading it, she had an idea. Your house is well furnished from a feng shui perspective. It's not bad enough to bring disaster to the family, but it's also not good enough to improve the family's luck. So, it's not very difficult to set up a feng shui bureau to attract wealth. It depends on whether you want to make a big change or a small change. After hearing this, Kui Yun asked, "Master Pei, can you explain in detail the difference between major changes and minor changes?" Pei Anzu didn't give in, he explained directly. Major renovation is to dismantle and renovate the house, completely change the layout of the house, and then purchase new furniture and ornaments according to my requirements and place them in designated locations. Small modification is to keep the overall layout of your home unchanged, just change the positions of a few furniture ornaments, and add a few ornaments or decorations that have the effect of attracting wealth. Both methods have their own advantages and disadvantages. Major changes take a long time and require high investment, but the returns are large. Small changes are low cost and easy to operate, but the results are slow. You can think about it carefully and let me know when you've considered it. Then I'll discuss it with my wife, Kui Yun said, pulling Han Yehung aside, and the two started discussing. In fact, the living room area is limited, and Pei Anzu has a lot of cultivation and keen senses, so she can hear the other party's conversation clearly. But in order to avoid embarrassment, she scrolled through her phone expressionlessly, pretending she didn't know anything. Soon, Kui Yun and the others made a decision. "Master Pei, we have decided to make minor changes. Have you thought about it?" "Well, we didn't expect to be rich or wealthy, as long as we can improve the current situation," Han Yehung said. "What's more, Major changes will require a lot of money, and our family doesn't have much savings, so we can't afford it. As a human being, only by being content can you be happy. Compared with those people in this world who have a lot of misfortunes, they feel that they are lucky enough. At least my family is safe, my job is stable, I am in good health, and my daughter is filial. Apart from being unable to keep any money, everything is good. Pei Anzu didn't seem surprised by their choice. From the moment she met Kui Yun and told his fortune, she could tell what kind of person he was. If it weren't for Kui Yun's good nature, she would never have agreed to sign the contract, let alone offer to change their feng shui. Now that I've thought about it, I respect your opinions, Pei Anzu said. I will make a list. You will take the time to buy these things tomorrow, and then I will come to your door to guide you in placing them. Okay, thank you Master Pei. Kui Yun nodded repeatedly. Pei Anzu and Kui Yun added their WeChat contact information, so she didn't hesitate. She clicked on the dialog box and started typing. Soon she listed several things. Since it was getting late and it was inconvenient to go out to buy things now, Kui Yun decided to go during the day tomorrow. Now that the matter has come to an end, he invites. Master Pei, why don't we have a midnight snack together? Pei Anzu came here after rejecting the Shen family's dinner invitation, and he was indeed hungry at the moment. However, she still chose to reject Kui Yun and planned to go out to find something to eat by herself. As a practitioner of Taoism, she tries not to have too many causes and effects with her clients. Get money to do things and leave after the work is done, that's all. She changed Kui Yun's feng shui and returned it as a favor by making an exception for Kui Yun to give her an S-class contract. If Kui Yun invited her to dinner again, it would be too much trouble. After bidding farewell to Kui Yun and his wife, Pei Anzu left the Kui family, ate at a nearby restaurant, and then found a hotel to stay. At 10 o'clock in the morning the next day, Pei Anzu received a call from Kui Yun, saying that she had bought everything on the list and asked her to go and take a look. She came to Kui's house again and saw what Kui Yun bought. She nodded and started to give instructions. Let's talk about what needs to be changed at home first. The mirror on the wall facing the door should be removed. The mirror reflects light and can easily bring away the blessing and luck of the family. The mirror can also reflect external objects and can easily in bad things. You won't feel it for a short time. As time goes by, the family's luck will become thinner and thinner. Don't put so many potted plants outside the windowsill. Your house faces north, which is good, but too many potted plants are placed on the south windowsill, blocking the sunlight outside. Sunlight has the effect of exorcising evil spirits. If the sun is blocked for too long, the house, if there is insufficient yang energy in the body, people will be weak and prone to illness. The last thing is the bogu shelf used as a partition. If possible, just dismantle it. The living room has been regarded as the main room since ancient times. It needs to be spacious and bright to be open and comfortable. If you separate it like this, it will give people the feeling of being cramped, and depressed can lead to depression and low mood over time. Kui Yun held the phone and pressed frantically on the screen with both hands, trying to write down everything Pei Anzu said. The seriousness of his attitude and the sincerity of his expression make him probably not so focused even when he was in school. Han Yahong glanced at him, showed him the screen of her mobile phone, and then said with disgust, "I recorded it?" Kui Yun. When Pei Anzu saw this scene, he couldn't help but smile and continued. Now let's talk about the things to be added. First of all, water can attract wealth, so I asked you to buy a fish tank, raise a small goldfish, and place it on the left side of the balcony. Secondly, this money tree is also placed on the balcony, right next to the fish tank. According to the principle of the 5 elements, water produces wood, and wood stores water. When the two are put together, it means endless life and a steady stream. As for the ornaments, in fact, both pixiu and snakes have the meaning of attracting wealth, but Pixio is swallowed and can be absorbed, snake is guarded and can keep wealth. So I asked you to buy two kinds. The Pixio ornaments are placed in the inner bedroom. It has the meaning of sucking in wealth. Placing snake ornaments in the entrance hall has the meaning of guarding and preventing the leakage of wealth. Finally, there is the cycle of the five elements. The fish tank belongs to water, the money tree belongs to wood, the brave ornaments are plated with gold, and the snake ornaments are shaped from clay and fired with fire. In this way, the combination of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth forms a simple five-element cycle. In the long run, not only will your family's financial luck improve, but your body will also be healthier and your spirit will be clearer and more comfortable. After Pei Anzu's instruction, Kui Yun and his wife showed a look of enlightenment on their faces. I didn't expect that there are so many ways to improve Feng Shui at home. Master Pei, is that all? Kui Yun asked. Well, that's it. Pei Anzu nodded. If you don't want to make major changes, then these are enough. Just relax, as before, what should come will always come. Dear readers, Chapter 35 has been revised and some content has been added. You can go back and read Chapter 35 again before joining this chapter. End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 37. Chapter 37 Ghost Baby. Kui Yun and Han Yehong took Pei Anzu's advice to heart. The two of them are not very ambitious people. They have lived for half their lives, and they have a kind of calmness of I am lucky if I get it, but I will die if I don't get it. Hence, Pei Anzu is not worried about their unbalanced mentality. After the matter was resolved, she left the Kui family, found a place outside to have lunch as usual, and then called the Shen family's driver, Li Qiuqan. Said that he had time in the afternoon and could go and see how his daughter was doing. Hearing this, Li Qiuqan quickly asked for leave from Shen King. He met with Pei Anzu as quickly as possible, and took her back to his home. Pei Anzu makes a habit of observing the Feng Shui nearby when he goes to a strange place. The Li family is located in a mid-range community. Li Qiuqan used the connections of the Shen family to buy a house in the school district so that his daughter could go to school nearby. The community has an advantageous geographical location, convenient transportation, and a good environment. It is a sign of the prosperity of Wenchang. Wenchang is also known as Wenqiuxing. In ancient times, it was considered to be the star that presided over the literary movement. The prosperity of Wenchang means that it is easy for this community to produce academic talents. Li Qiuqan chatted with Pei Anzu while walking. Hearing Pei Anzu talk about this topic, he nodded repeatedly and said, Master Pei is right. The reason why I bought a house here was because I thought it would be conducive for my daughter to study here. Since 20 years ago, this community has produced one or several top students in the high school entrance examination and college entrance examination every year. Everyone says that this place has good feng shui and the students who live here do very well in studies. So, the housing supply here was tight back then, and it was hard to get hold of it. If it weren't for Mr. Shen's help, I wouldn't have been able to buy a house here. The two of them chatted and soon arrived at Li Qiuqan's home. He took out the key and opened the door, and was about to invite Pei Anzu in when he heard a loud noise from the bedroom, like a mirror being smashed. Then, a scream came. Li Qiuqan had no time to say anything and rushed in quickly. Yuan Yuan. He pushed open the bedroom door and saw his daughter Li Yuan Yuan lying on the bed, pinching his neck with both hands, and the veins on his arms were clearly visible. Pei Anzu followed closely and saw the girl in the room. He is about the same age as the original owner and has just graduated from college. He should be young and have a good future, but he is so thin because of a strange disease. There was no trace of blood on his face, it was very pale, and blood vessels could even be seen through the skin. The arms and legs are very thin, as if they will break if pinched lightly. It is hard to imagine how such a slender and frail girl could burst out with so much energy that she could choke herself to the point of suffocation. Yuan Yuan, Let go. Li Qiaoqan tried to pry Li Yuanyuan's hand away. Judging from his skillful movements, it seems that this is not the first time such a thing has happened. But if before, he could use his physical strength as a male to break his daughter's hands apart, then today, he couldn't do it. There seemed to be an inexplicable force pulling on him, which was definitely not the strength that a young girl like Li Yuanyuan should have. Let go, you are no match for it, Pei Anzu couldn't help but say. Master Pei, please help me. Li Qiaoqan turned to ask for help. Her condition is getting worse and worse. Before, she was just dizzy and vomiting, but now she keeps hurting herself. You stand further away. Pei Anzu approached the bed, and when Li Qiaoqan gave up his position, she stretched out her index and middle fingers and drew an invisible talisman on Li Yuanyuan's forehead. Then, she spread her fingers, palm down, and drove the talisman into the center of Li Yuanyuan's eyebrows. The next second, Li Yuanyuan let out a heart-rending scream. Ah dash! Along with her screams, a cloud of black smoke came out from between her eyebrows. It was very light at first, like the smoke produced when burning firewood. Li Qiaoqan was stunned and took 2 steps back subconsciously. Soon, he saw that the black gas was getting thicker and thicker, and it slowly condensed into a shape right above Li Yuanyuan's head, and finally turned into the shape of a little baby. The baby looks to be 3 months old, with a greenish-black complexion, red eyes, and pointed teeth. It looks very much like those mutated zombies in movies and TV shows. If it were a normal baby, it would definitely not be able to speak, but unexpectedly this little baby spoke. Smelly woman, you ruined my good deeds, eat you. As soon as he finished speaking, it rushed towards Pei Anzu, opened its mouth and showed its sharp teeth, trying to bite her neck. Unexpectedly, Pei Anzu grabbed both feet and lifted them up upside down. The little baby had short hands and feet, and was carried upside down. His hands fluttered, but he could not touch Pei Anzu at all. He could only show his teeth and roar in threats. This look, in Pei Anzu's opinion, is incompetent and furious. Immediately afterwards, she slapped the baby on the butt, lightly as if she were beating a normal human child. If you don't learn well at a young age, will you imitate other ghosts and eat people? I think you are born with the sign of cucumber, you are in need of a slap, you are a lazy ass, you are in need of a slap. You, a ghost baby from somewhere else, came to my land to run wild and dare to yell at me. You are dancing Yanko on the edge of a cliff. Are your good days over? You still want to eat me? The last person who wanted to eat me was already tortured in the 18th level of hell. Do you want to try it too? You really don't have a GPS installed and you don't know where you are. If I don't beat you until 1 Buddha ascends to heaven and 2 Buddhas are born, I will write my name upside down. Every time she said a word, she slapped the baby on the butt. With skillful exertion, her hand didn't hurt, but the baby's felt like it was being pricked by thousands of needles at the same time, causing it to scream in pain. For a time, the sound of Pei Anzu beating someone and the howling of a baby came one after another. Li Qiaoqan couldn't help but want to advise. Forget it, the child is still young. Fortunately, he still had sense. Seeing the baby's terrified look, he remained silent. After Pei Anzu slapped him a few times, the black energy on the baby slowly dissipated, and it changed from a gloomy, terrifying ghost child to a white and tender baby. Except for the pointed teeth and red eyes, he seems to be no different from a normal child. It couldn't break free and cried out at Pei Anzu. Wow, you're bullying a kid. Tisk, Pei Anzu looked at it with disgust. I've been an old ghost for 30 years, and I'm still pretending to be young. Are you ashamed of it? The baby stopped crying immediately after being exposed, held his mouth shut, and even burped. Pei Anzu took out a talisman and said to the baby, "Get in there by yourself, and I'll take care of you after I finish other things." The baby looked at the talisman. There was an aura on it that frightened it. It didn't want to go in, but it couldn't defeat Pei Anzu. The ghost is under the eaves, so you have to lower your head. It reluctantly got in. The golden light on the talisman flashed and the seal was activated. It was trapped inside and could not get out for the time being. Master Pei, this talisman. The ghost suppressing talisman has a sealing formation inside. It can't come out, so don't worry, Pei Anzu said, taking out another talisman and handing it over. Take it and burn it. Soak the ashes in water and give it to your daughter. Drink it and she should wake up. End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 38. Chapter 38 Elephant Kuyan Temple. Li Kuokan hurriedly took the talisman. According to Pei Anzu's request, he put the talisman in a bowl and burned it. After it was burned out, he soaked it in water, and then brought in a small spoon. Then he scooped up a spoonful of the talisman water, pinched open Li Yuanyuan's mouth with one hand, and poured the talisman water in. After feeding 5 times in a row, Li Yuanyuan coughed twice, suddenly opened her eyes, then turned around and vomited out. The bedroom floor was a mess. In addition to the mirror she had broken during her previous struggle with the ghost baby, there was also a pile of black vomit with a very unpleasant smell. But fortunately, she did wake up, and so did she. When Li Kuokan saw this, he breathed a heavy sigh of relief and asked, "Yuanyuan, how do you feel?" "Dad, what's wrong with me?" Li Yuanyuan was confused and seemed to have no memory of what happened. "You scared me to death just now." Li Kuokan, a middle-aged man, almost shed tears when he talked about this incident. "As soon as I came back, I saw you pinching my neck. If I had been a little later." Li Yuanyuan's expression also changed. She felt guilty and distressed as she looked at her father who was running around for her. At this time, a clear and beautiful voice sounded. "Li Yuanyuan, where have you been in the past few months? Have you brought anything back?" Li Yuanyuan followed the sound and saw a young girl standing in the bedroom. She was surprised. Pei Anzu." Pei Anzu raised his eyebrows when his name was called, but he didn't expect that this was an acquaintance. "Do you know me?" Pei Anzu searched the memory of the original owner and seemed to have no impression of Li Yuanyuan, so he asked. Li Yuanyuan nodded and said, "I am also studying in college in Songcheng. I am in the same school as you, even in the same year and the same major, but in different classes. It is normal that you don't know me. The reason why I know you is because you are very beautiful. I voted for you when you first entered the department beauty selection." Pei Anzu. I didn't expect it to be such a connection. No wonder the original owner had no impression of Li Yuanyuan. Mainly because after the original owner entered university, apart from focusing on studying, he spent the rest of his time working part-time jobs here and there to earn tuition and living expenses. Hence, the original owner didn't pay attention to these gossips in the school, and he didn't know that he had been selected as the flower of the department. But these are not important. What is important is the ghost baby in Li Yuanyuan. "You haven't answered me yet. Where did you go on a trip and what did you bring back?" Pei Anzu asked again. She remembered that Li Kuokan said that Li Yuanyuan's symptoms only appeared after returning from travel. Li Yuanyuan did not see the process of Pei Anzu catching the ghost baby, and was a little confused. "Does this have anything to do with my illness?" "Yuanyuan, don't ask so many questions. Just answer whatever Master Pei asks. If she hadn't been here today, I'm afraid you would have died." Li Kuokan's face became serious. Despite her doubts, Li Yuanyuan still answered truthfully. "I went to the elephant country with a few roommates. As for what I brought back, it's nothing, just some specialties and gifts for friends. Oh, by the way, there's also a Buddhist amulet." With that said, Li Yuanyuan opened the skirt of her clothes and pulled out a red rope with a wooden Buddhist amulet hanging on it. The front of the Buddha amulet is engraved with a relief portrait, and the back is written with Li Yuanyuan's name. Seeing this, Pei Anzu nodded clearly. No wonder, Li Yuan, this thing is evil, you'd better take it off and give it to me. But this thing cost me 3,000 yuan. Li Yuan hesitated. The master in the temple said that if I wear it for 81 days, my wish will come true. If you really wear it for 81 days, I'm afraid you will really die. Pei Anzu said. This Buddha amulet is from some yin temples in the Elephant Kingdom and is specially used to raise little ghosts. Little ghosts, also commonly known as ghost babies, are a kind of evil magic in the Elephant Kingdom. This kind of witchcraft is very cruel. First of all, a pregnant woman who is 8 or 9 months pregnant and about to give birth needs to be specially selected, tied to a special altar, and subjected to various means to torture the pregnant woman to death. Secondly, as soon as the pregnant woman dies, her belly is cut open and the living fetus is taken out from the womb. Finally, the mother's flesh and blood is used, sealed with the fetus in a jar, placed on the altar, and refined for 77 and 49 days using the unique techniques of the Elephant Kingdom's headmaster. In this way, you can become a qualified ghost baby. The reason why the ghost baby is powerful is because when it was in the mother's body, it felt the violence and abuse suffered by its mother, and the strong resentment of its mother before she died also affected its mind. This resentment is the source of the ghost baby's power. The successfully refined ghost baby retains the image of a fetus of several months, but has red eyes, sharp teeth, and is bloodthirsty and cruel. It is specially driven by the head-dropping master. The head-dropping master can also lend the ghost baby to others, but usually the person who adopts the ghost baby needs to pay a huge price, including but not limited to blood, luck, and even life. After Pei Anzu explained the ghost baby, he spoke again. The temples in the Elephant Kingdom are divided into Yang temples and Yin temples, and the two are very different. The Yang temple enshrines all serious gods and Buddhas. They have noble gods and protect all living beings throughout the ages. They have only relied on the faith and incense of believers to practice. And the Yin temple is dedicated to the souls of the dead and even evil gods. They want to increase their strength and absorb all the blood and lives. You must have mistakenly entered the Yin temple of the Elephant Kingdom and been deceived by the people there. In this Buddha amulet, there is a little ghost that has been dead for 30 years. It has a strong blood evil spirit and is riddled with karma and debt. It has killed many people. The way it harms people is very simple, that is, it lives in the Buddhist amulet, and the Buddhist amulet is sent out by the master. As long as you wear it close to your body, it can take the opportunity to get into your body and your essence and flesh. You may only feel slightly uncomfortable at first, with dizziness, fever, and vomiting, but as time goes by, your life will become less and less, and your mind will become less and less clear. In the end, it will squeeze out the last bit of it. Value, life is not guaranteed. With Pei Anzu's science popularization, Li Yuan's face became paler. She quickly pulled the red rope off her neck. She originally wanted to hand it to Pei Anzu, but hesitated and asked, "Will giving this thing to you affect you?" "No, that kid is no match for me. He has already been conquered by me," Pei Anzu said. "Give me the Buddha amulet and I will destroy it and make the kid pay the price he deserves." Li Yuan saw Pei Anzu's calm expression and her father's trust in her. She took a deep breath and put the amulet in her hand. "Pei-an, no, Master Pei," she said again, 3 of the 4 people in our dormitory have requested this amulet. If possible, can you also help them?" Li Yuan and the others went to Elephant Country after graduation. It was mid-June. It is now the end of August, and there is not much time left until the 99 and 81 days. Li Yuan's life was hanging by a thread before, and the other 2 people in the dormitory who had invited Buddhist amulets were also about the same. I hope Pei Anzu will help them, and I hope it's not too late. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 39. Chapter 39 The Roommate's Situation. After hearing this, Pei Anzu agreed without hesitation. People in Suanmen should take it as their own duty to eliminate demons and exorcise evil spirits. This evil sect of ghosts and infants can do a lot of harm to people. It was fine if they didn't know about it before. Now that they know it, they naturally have to take care of it. Are your roommates all in Yunchinj? Pei Anzu asked. It would be much easier if they were all in Yunchinj. She could make a trip today. No, they are all from Songchan. Li Yuan said, I will call them now. Please wait a moment. After saying that, Li Yuan took out her mobile phone and contacted several roommates. Li Qiuqan invited Pei Anzu into the living room, and then he had time to make tea for her and ask her to sit for a while he went to his daughter's bedroom to clean up. About 10 minutes later, Li Yuan came out with an ugly face. Master Pei, something happened to them too. Following that, Li Yuan talked about some specific situations about her roommates. Their dormitory is for 4 people. In addition to Li Yuan, there are also 3 people, Lu Xinyi, Ma Jiajia, and Meng Huan. During the 4 years they were studying in Songcheng University, the 4 of them had a good relationship. There was no intrigue or malicious competition. Instead, they became best friends because of their similar temperaments. It is precisely because of this that the 4 of us met for a graduation trip. When we were in the Elephant Country, except for Meng Huan, the other 3 people all requested Buddhist amulets from the Yin Temple. Now, except for Meng Huan, everyone is in trouble. Li Yuan called Lu Xinyi and Ma Jiajia, and their parents answered the phone. She inquired about it and found that everyone's symptoms were different. Lu Xinyi is unconscious and is said to have been in a coma for 4 days. She is currently receiving treatment in the hospital, but the hospital cannot find out the cause of the disease. They only know that the vitality in her body is rapidly losing. The hospital believes that she may have a disease that has not yet been discovered by the medical community. So the hospital is discussing with her parents and wants to transfer her to the Supreme Medical Academy to gather the top medical forces in the country to study and analyze the cause of her disease. In short, Lu Xinyi's illness cannot be cured. Instead of waiting for her to die, it is better to contribute one's strength and dedicate oneself to medicine before she dies. As for Ma Jiajia, her symptoms were that of going crazy. 24 hours a day, Ma Jiajia has very little waking time and often loses her mind. She yells and smashes things at home, and even intends to hurt others with a knife. For safety reasons, Ma Jiajia's parents could only tie her up. The doctor's diagnosis was that she suffered from mania, a type of mental illness, and it was strongly recommended that her parents send her to a mental hospital to receive the most professional treatment. Lest she be left outside and cause a disaster if she loses control. Now, Ma Jiajia's parents are hesitating whether to accept the doctor's advice. If they don't send her to a mental hospital, they will have no choice but to keep Ma Jiajia for the rest of her life. The matter of ghost babies is complicated and unbelievable. I couldn't explain it in a few words on the phone, so I didn't say anything about it for the time being. Li Yuan said, I just said that I wanted to see them. After all, they are friends who have been together for 4 years, and Li Yuan's concern for them is not fake. Pei Anzu nodded. Without further ado, now that we've agreed, let's go to Songcheng. Li Qiuqan asked at this time, Master Pei, won't Yuan go with you? She has not recovered yet and is not suitable for the fatigue of traveling and traveling. She has to go. If she doesn't follow, the parents of the 2 girls may not believe me. Human lives are at stake. If I have to spend time explaining to them and prove it, I'm afraid it will be too late. Pei Anzu said, if you are worried, you can accompany her. Pei Anzu's worries are not unreasonable. Different from the continent of cultivation where she originally lived, metaphysics here is in decline, and there are only a handful of Taoist practitioners with real abilities on the market. The most common people are charlatans or liars. The category of magic sticks, such as the old Taoist priests in Qiyungan, have learned from teachers, but have not learned systematically. They are half-baked, sometimes good and sometimes not good, and they only make a small fortune. Scammers are masters of pure packaging. They have learned some tricks to deceive people on the internet, and use nonsense as a means to defraud a large amount of money, like cutting leaks. Their existence has destroyed people's trust in people in Suanman day after day, so that even if they meet someone with real ability, their first reaction is that they are liars. What's more, the current Taoist or Buddhist sects seem to have long since discontinued their inheritance. Most temples and Taoist temples have become tourist attractions and have been packaged into commodities by the capital market. Whether it is a monk or a Taoist priest, most of them are businessmen. If Pei Anzi goes to Songcheng by himself without an acquaintance to introduce him, he is afraid that he will be kicked out as a liar as soon as he comes to the door. If the rescue is delayed, it will be bad. After Li Qiuqan heard this, even if he didn't want his daughter to be tired, he could only agree. I won't go. I believe Master Pei, as long as you are here, Yuan will not have any problems. I will trouble you along the way. While speaking, Li Qiuqan handed over the bank card he had prepared in advance. There was 200,000 in it, which was the price he mentioned in the car before. Pei Anzi pushed the bank card back and said, "Don't be hasty now, wait until this matter is completely resolved." After making the decision, Pei Anzi drew a talisman for Li Yuan that would help her body recover, and asked her to wear it close to her body and have a good night's rest. I bought a ticket to Songcheng tomorrow morning. I will pick you up here at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. After Pei Anzi finished speaking, he left with the Buddhist amulet. She returned to the hotel where she was staying, entered the room, locked the doors and windows, closed the curtains, and took out the Buddhist amulets and ghost-suppressing charms. After the seal was released, the ghost baby emerged from the ghost-suppressing talisman and wanted to escape immediately. The next second, Pei Anzi grabbed his ankle again. "Stop being so mean in front of me, you can't run away. Come and stand, I have something to ask you." The ghost baby was caught again and had a deeper understanding of Pei Anzi's strength. It didn't want to run away, but wanted to negotiate terms with her. "I can ask you questions if you want, but I'll have to give you a few sips of your blood. This woman is nosy. If she hadn't appeared, it would have been able to drink blood from another woman unscrupulously. But if you can get the blood of the woman in front of you, it won't be a loss. The flesh and blood of people in Suanman is an excellent tonic for ghosts and monsters like them." Hearing this, Pei Anzi sneered. "I think you haven't understood your current situation yet. Are you worthy of negotiating terms with me? If you are not willing to answer me, I will kill you now. Anyway, we still have your companions in Songcheng. There is always someone who knows the current affairs. What do you think?" After finishing his words, Pei Anzi raised his hand and began to draw the ghost-killing talisman. The talisman carried an aura that frightened all ghosts, as if it would be torn into pieces in the next second. When Guiying saw Pei Anzi coming for real, he immediately no longer dared to have extravagant hopes and immediately changed his words. "I will answer whatever you want to ask. I will tell you everything I know." Pei Anzi stared at it for a long time and said, "You have black hair and black eyes, and you should look like a native of the country. Why were you transformed into a ghost baby in the Elephant Kingdom? Do you still remember who was the person who turned you into a ghost baby? Who is your current master? You were placed in this Buddha amulet and followed the tourists to the Dragon Kingdom. In addition to sucking people's essence, flesh, and blood, you also, what other purpose is there?" End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 40. Chapter 40, heading to Songcheng. After hearing Pei Anzi's question, Guiying spread his hands and shrugged. "I do not even know. You promised to tell me everything you know and say everything you say. Pei Anzu began to draw the talisman again. It's useless for you to threaten me now, because I really don't know the questions you asked. The ghost baby was frightened and hid, and then shouted, I was cut out of my mother's belly. At that time, I had no idea. Without consciousness, how could I know the specific situation at that time? What's more, it was a ghost baby formed 30 years ago. Even normal people may not be able to clearly remember what happened 30 years ago, let alone a ghost baby born out of resentment. Therefore, it knows nothing about who its mother is, who she was made into as a ghost baby, and who its owner is, but it is not completely devoid of any information. I have been following Hija all these years. He is a lama from the Yin temple. He knows a little bit about the head lowering technique and can drive me. But I don't know if he is my master, because he rarely uses me. He only releases me once every 3 years, and every time I have to the essence, flesh and blood of 49 virgins. This time, it happened that I came out and those female students entered the Yin temple, so he targeted the tourists from the Dragon Kingdom. He wants us to follow the tourists back to the Dragon Kingdom. As long as we are not discovered by the masters, we can use the Buddha cards to wander around the Dragon Kingdom for a long time until we have absorbed the essence, flesh and blood of 49 virgins. The ghost baby in front of me can think and have IQ because it has been in shape for a long time and has a lot of human lives on it. It has enough energy. Unlike other newly formed ghost babies, they cannot communicate except for roaring, crying, and howling. Even though Pei Anzu couldn't get any more information, she at least knew about the existence of Hija. Sooner or later, she would have to do justice to the person who drove the ghost baby to murder people. Pei Anzu thought about this and asked again. Those students took 3 Buddhist tablets from the Yin temple. Are they filled with ghost babies like you? I don't know. The ghost baby shook his head again. I haven't seen other ghost babies. Okay, since you have nothing to say, just go in by yourself. Pei Anzu pointed at the ghost suppressing charm and said, I'll settle the ledger with you after I catch your other accomplices. As the words fell, the ghost baby turned into a black air and got into the talisman. Pei Anzu couldn't go to the elephant country for the time being, and he couldn't fight the crane immediately, so he could only keep this matter in his heart, thinking and waiting for the opportunity. Early the next morning, Pei Anzu took a taxi to pick up Li Yuanyuan, and the two of them went to the airport together, and then boarded a plane to Songcheng. Songcheng is where the original owner went to college and she lived here for 4 years. Pei Anzu carefully searched the memory of the original owner and became familiar with the city, so as not to let Li Yuanyuan notice that he had changed the core in this body. Fortunately, Li Yuanyuan did not have much interaction with the original owner in the past, so she did not find out that she was not the original owner. Just listen to Li Yuanyuan sigh. I really didn't expect that you were a master of metaphysics. Last night my dad told me about how you helped Mr. Shen's family gather the fox fairies and captured a ghost baby from my body. What he told me was lifelike and lifelike. I know my dad. He is not a good talker. If he had not experienced it, he would not be able to make up such twists and turns and bizarre stories. It can be seen that what he said is true. Although I haven't seen it with my own eyes, I still think you are very powerful. I really didn't realize it when I was in school. That is required. The person who was in school before was not me at all. Pei Anzu was thinking in his heart, but his face remained calm and he just said casually. If too many people know my identity, I won't be able to live so peacefully during my 4 years in college. That's right. Li Yuanyuan was convinced. About an hour later, the two arrived at Songcheng Airport. Li Yuanyuan opened her phone, took a look at it, and said, Lu Xinyi's father came to pick us up and is already waiting outside. I told them that I also fell seriously ill after returning from the elephant country, and a very powerful doctor cured me. Although they have doubts about my words, they have the mentality of treating a dead horse as a living horse doctor and are willing to try again. Let's go then. Pei Anzu nodded and took the lead to walk outside with his bag on his back. Li Yuanyuan has met Lu Xinyi's father and knows his car. After all, he has come to school frequently to give gifts to his daughter during the 4 years of college. The two of them successfully found the car and greeted Liu's father. Father Lu is about the same age as Li Qiuqian, 2 years younger than Li Qiuqian, but he looks more than 10 years older than Li Qiuqian. It can be seen that during this period, Lu Xinyi's condition made him extremely worried. "Thank you for coming to see Xinyi," Liu's father said as he drove. It was obvious that he regarded Pei Anzu as an ordinary classmate. As for the amazing Dr. Li Yuanyuan mentioned before, he didn't think he would follow her to Songcheng. After all, truly capable people need to be hired by others with a low profile. Li Yuanyuan wanted to explain, but Pei Anzu pulled her sleeve and shook her head. "There is no use explaining it now. We had to wait until we met Lu Xinyi and confirmed her situation before explaining it to the Lu family's parents." Although Father Lu was mentally and physically exhausted during this period, fortunately he was a steady man and drove well, maintaining the maximum speed limit and navigating through busy roads. In just 40 minutes, we arrived at the hospital where Lu Xinyi was staying. The three of them entered the ward and saw Lu Xinyi still lying unconscious. Liu's mother was sitting on the edge of the bed, lowering her head to wipe her tears. There was a man in a white coat beside him, trying to persuade. "I've told you all the good and bad things, why don't you listen? Don't blame me for what I said. Ordinary hospitals really can't treat your daughter's condition. Due to unknown reasons, her vitality is rapidly disappearing. According to our estimates, it will take at most half a month. As I say, send her to the Supreme Medical College as soon as possible. Maybe those old experts can find a way to delay her lifespan, and she will have more hope of being cured." When Father Lu heard this, he became angry and pushed his white coat out. "Get out! I will not send my daughter to you as a guinea pig. Even if she dies, I want her to die as a human being, not as your experimental subject." "Mr. Lu, don't speak so harshly," the white coat wanted to persuade him again. In fact, white coat didn't really want to send Lu Xinyi to be a guinea pig. Physicians are benevolent. As long as they can cure something, who wouldn't want to do their best to cure it? It's just that Lu Xinyi's situation is too weird. The hospital really couldn't cure it, but I was unwilling to give up hope, so I thought about going to the top medical academy, hoping that the top old experts would come up with a solution. But what is speechless is that the person sent to communicate with the Lu family is a deadhead who is only obsessed with medical skills and academics. He has negative emotional intelligence and cannot speak. He pushed the matter to a dead end by saying dedicate himself to medicine, and even if he can't cure her, he can still contribute to medicine. It was obviously a well-intentioned suggestion, but when it came out of his mouth, it sounded like he was going to send Lu Xinyi to the Supreme Medical Academy for vivisection. How could this make the Lu family's parents not angry? Soon, Father Lu drove the white coat out of the ward and closed the door. End of this chapter.